we have the whole business model works based on the three actual segments we have our monetization. The segment we get the most profit is from the direct retail sales. So if we see the search, for example, there have been like 100 searches for a whey protein in the trial 1 week. So we simply buy the protein that we know are going to be in a huge amount because we see the users typing, we see the users searching for it, and we just buy it prior and sell with a better margin. Second, the most profitable is the affiliation model. So we just simply upload the product of the producer. We don't stock the product in our company. We simply just use their photo of the product, and when the sales is made, we simply ship them. Like the producer simply ship the product to the customer, and we get our cut of the margin. And also we have the micropayments and subscription. So in the future we are going to get the freemium model also for the application. If you're going to have more access to an actual discount of the product. So for example, if there's a drop of the product from the Adidas, which has like the minus 60%, it's going to be limited for the people that actually have the premium account. But the whole subscription is going to be as low as 5 to 7 euros a month. So it's going to be very accessible by everybody. And also with the subscription, you get a lot more knowledge about your actual assortment. For example, with the new version of the application, if you have the subscription model, you're going to be notified at the end of your day what meal you like, for example, dessert. So I make like a lot of training this day, and I'm very, very hungry. But my goal in the application is set to losing weight. And I don't have to go through the browsing website or anything. The application will simply give me the recipe by itself, saying that I made this much activity. I just burned 1,050 calories, and here's the meal that's going to suit me best. So having the complex way to be better at sports in one place.
Maybe for the feedback part, can you go back to the problem slide? I think it's one of the first.
Yeah, that's the one.
I think it would be easier just to lay down one problem. In your case, it's a pretty huge one, but I think it's the first slide, so we really want to understand what you're doing. And so if you lay down 3 main areas, we're sort of trying to figure out what you're doing.
Okay.
And I think it's in your best interest to make it clear from the get-go that what you want to build is this thing. Maybe for the traction part as well, I think it's really good. I think you show that it grows and it's impressive. But I think people want to know more when they see this. So maybe go into more details on the interaction. So I don't know if you've got a data point that says people open the app every day, like 40%.
Yeah, like the actual, sorry to interrupt, but for example, like the actual chart is for the people that actually made the entrance to the application.
Okay.
So it's the active user that simply just turn the app, scroll through the assortment we have this day in the application, and close the app or buy whatever. But those are the people that actually log in the application and was searching for the items in the application.
Cool. So I think you should mention this because investors see a lot of entrepreneurs showing good slides going up, up.
The best thing they can do.
Okay, and just one last element. You mentioned a couple times that nobody has done this in this super large space. And I think investors will wonder why no one has ever done this, because this is something people can relate to and can think about. So they'll start wondering when they'll see the pitch, why has this never been done before? So if you think about it ahead and provide the clear answers in the slides, then that makes sense, because then you can build into your solution saying, okay, those were the blocks that were not possible before or have never been thought about, and this is what I'm building on top of this. So just something
involved in the
yeah.
Actually, I have the reply for this question.
Okay.
It was actually the move by the Go Sports that trying to go through the actual organization of the event and trying to combine services with the assortment, and also was the whole point of doing supplements. It is also the same thing that Decathlon actually does today, but is the fact that they're trying to be the hegemony in the segment. So they are making their own brands, like the Quechua, or the all brands you can buy in the Decathlon. and they are putting very little to none like the brands from outside, like people of Nike, people of Adidas, people of other brands, and but Decathlon simply made lots of money by selling their own merchandise. So we are from the point where we want to implement the best in our application. We want to implement the best things that are in the most demand, but trying to do it in a smart way, not trying to like go with the nice with Decathlon because they're going to roll over us in a day.
Yeah.
But rather trying to combine people that we deem as a friend and as a partners, and we're going to implement their solution and their services, products in our application, and benefit from each other. So something like that.
Okay, that's super interesting. So yeah.
Thank you. Please.
First, congratulations for your traction. It's very impressive what you achieved in such a short time span. I have a question. I think you mentioned it, but I cannot remember. What's the average percentage of users who have bought something in Sedia?
Yeah, the actual. Yeah, I don't have it here, but the actual percentage of the users that actually bought the merchandise in the application was around 50%. So yeah, but like again, that's a huge number. But
Yes.
I know like the friends and family and everything were very much involved. So I like don't want to trust this number because if I'm going to scale for the millions, it's not going to be like 150,000 every day, right? But yeah, it was around 50% at the time of the launch.
It's huge. And maybe a slight remark. I think your slide, is a competition. This one I think it's a bit tricky to use that because I've seen. I'm not an investor. I'm another startup founder, but I've seen a lot of times this slide. I know it's tricky when you just started and you tick all the boxes when your competitors which have millions don't do it. I think it's a bit fishy, and the thesis will always challenge you at that. So I think it might be smarter to put it in a different way, to really emphasize what are your differentiators,
Okay.
and then put boxes you're ticking, but just my humble opinion.
Okay, I was thinking about this specific slide just for the reason to show like the clear what the application do above of else what the competitors do. So like I show there's a better way, but it's the way I came up first. So a lot more things to learn from this. Yes, please.
It's more of a curiosity than an actual feedback, but you mentioned that you have three different revenue streams, and I was just wondering if you find it an asset to have different way to make money, and you obviously monitor all of them, or do you find it somehow like a defocus or an impediment to not focus on one way of making money and going somehow like all in on it?
It's like the simple fact that I previously run the game mobile studio. So like the subscription and micropayments was the first thing I came up with because like the games is everything about micropayments. So it was like the funny thing to add, and like actually the percentage of the like the whole percentage, the direct retail sale was around I believe 65%. Then there was 30% of the affiliation model, and there was just 5% of the actual subscription. But it was just something we want to put in the table and see that people actually going to use it, because we have to check if for example there was the hot booster in the application, and it was the trick for people if you like don't want to run a lot, just buy our micropayment. You have to do a lot of steps like in 2 days, but you're going to get the same reward. So something like cheating a bit, but if you buy it, it's okay. Right.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great. Misha, can you go next?
one of my biggest passions in life is travel. Traveling today is easier than ever before. We've got Airbnb for accommodations, Uber to take a student from the airport, TripAdvisor to tell us which places to see. But yet there is one part of travel industry that still remains like it used to be 100 years ago, and that's car rental. My name is Misha, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Go for Spin, and we are a car rental marketplace connecting car owners with travelers. So first of all, let me tell you a few words about our team. My co-founder Alex and I are a match made in startup heaven. We've been friends for over 25 years. We grew up in the same neighborhood. We have complementary backgrounds and skill sets, and we share similar values. So Alex is our CTO. He has a PhD in industrial automation, and he was teaching computer science at one of Russia's tech universities. And I come from a business background. I used to work at American Express and later at Booking.com, where I launched a completely new product on the Russian market. So while working at Booking.com, I used to travel a lot for work and leisure as well, and rented cars in different locations. And I must admit that it was rarely an enjoyable experience. So during one business trip in Kazakhstan, I literally could not find a usable car rental solution. So accessibility and convenience are not only the only problems of car rental these days. It's also very expensive to rent a car from the airport. Besides that, the car that you're getting is very often a blend, the rental car that's just not a good user experience. So when I was having a problem in Kazakhstan with renting a car, I was surprised to find out that many of my partners over there were actually more than happy to offer their personal cars for me to drive. So that was an epiphany moment for me. I realized that people can actually rent out their own personal cars and earn extra income and make it convenient for them. And on the other hand, for travelers, it would be much cheaper to rent cars from car owners, and the selection would be better, thus creating a better user experience. And so the idea of Go for Spin was born. So with the team in place, we set out to build a mobile app that would be very user-friendly, and I believe we achieved that. We've beta tested our mobile app extensively, and right at this point, it works like a charm. So the market that we are targeting is quite lucrative. So globally, car rental is approaching $100 billion this year, and it is forecasted to grow at a steady pace later on. So our go-to-market strategy, we started by approaching car owners using social media, and that was the best way to target that audience. On the demand side, we will be approaching travelers through SEO and paid search advertising. And obviously, in order to attract our users, we're going to focus a lot of effort on creating in-house content, as well as having rich presence on social media. So that's going to be basically our go-to-market strategy. So let's take a look at our business model, and the beauty of it is it's very simple. We, as a marketplace, we take 10% of each transaction. We've crunched some numbers, and basically, based on our rough analysis, we came up with a expected MRR of $30 per one car owner. So at this stage, it's really difficult for us to have expected to predict what the cost of user acquisition will be for us, but we're pretty sure that as we scale up, this business model will be cash flow positive. So the competitive landscape is not as bad as it may seem from the outset. Obviously, the legacy car rental shops are dominating the market, but the shortcomings of their outdated business models are driving more and more customers towards the tech disruptors like ourselves. So we're in direct competition with the guys like Turo, GetAround, and other marketplaces, but we believe that market size and fragmentation plays into our hand. Besides that, we have some competitive advantages. By keeping our overhead costs very low, we will maintain the lowest commission on the market. We will also be focused on amazing user experience and content. I would say it's in the DNA of our company, and you cannot say that about every other market player. And we will also focus on maintaining flexible terms of service, so that customers are never confused when using Go for Spin. We are also working on some unique selling points to differentiate ourselves from the competition. For example, we are experimenting with different transportation categories like bikes, scooters, and whatnot. So that's coming up next. We started working on the project last April. We tested our hypothesis during the FIFA World Cup in Moscow. Then we launched our MVP around September. We've been iterating and building up, polishing the product ever since. And finally we got with this product into StationF, which has been an incredible opportunity for us. And even though we are laser focused on finding product market fit right now, I'm really excited to share a glimpse of our long-term vision with you. So we believe we can build on the peer-to-peer framework and later on transform Go for Spin into a marketplace where people can rent any sort of travel experiences. Yes, right now we're trying to raise our seed round in order to take Go for Spin to product market fit stage. So this is Go for Spin, and hopefully we're going to rock the car rental market. Thank you. Yes.
What country do you target for your solution? So you're already in Russia, right?
Yeah, we did some initial testing in Russia. Obviously, right now we're focused on France as a much bigger market in terms of car rental, and also the market that we know from personal experience now and from many researchers that France is one of the most receptive markets of sharing economy services. So this is definitely going to be our base for now. We will not forget about Russia, of course, as well, because we have a team based there. But yeah, we've just last weekend, we've had our first car rental in Paris.
Okay.
It was actually our guild teammate who rented my car. So, so it's a bit of cheating, but yeah, nonetheless, it's the first revenue for us in the EU.
And in your competitive view, I didn't see WeCar or Drivey.
Well, Drivey basically they got
Okay.
acquired by GetAround, so it's the same thing. We haven't really analyzed them that thoroughly because
Okay.
they're a local competition. We try to look at big guys like Sura and GetAround for
Okay.
kind of reference.
Okay.
Just to jump up on this subject, actually when you just began the presentation, we are just thinking, yes, you get around and there is the acquisition of Drivey for 300 million. So what is your market? You want to go into France, to Europe or in the US, where this player is very huge. So we are just thinking, what is your main competitive advantage? And if you need to more maybe emphasize on, you have a lower commission, right?
Yes, right.
And can you just go back to your setting?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And we can just ask you why Galawan could not go into the motor or the commercial.
Well, we don't know for sure, but one of our main assumptions is that they are tied up with their insurance solution. So they work with outside insurance companies to provide their insurance. At this stage, we don't have our in-house insurance solution, but we're working on it, and that's going to allow us to scale better because we will not be limited by insurance terms that are provided to us for Allianz, for example. So that's our key to basically launching in different markets and providing a service that will be more flexible. Because most of the constraints that other players have are due to the insurance policies they have. So we want to go the contrarian way, which is going to be tough at our stage, but as we scale up, that's going to have more advantages for us.
Why is it an issue for them?
You mean the insurance?
Yeah.
Because when they sign up with the Allianz, for example, or to sign up with Liberty Mutual in the United States, they have to abide by the rules that are provided by the insurance, and they're quite strict. So in terms of how old you are to rent a car from these guys, where you can go, what kind of cars they can accept, they have all these limitations. We will try to avoid those limitations by launching without an insurance product and bringing only at first the cars that have their personal insurance. And then when we have enough cash flow, we will definitely roll out our own solution to the insurance.
Okay. I think it's super interesting, and I think you should mention this because as Jan mentions, when you see the deck, you're like, okay, this is already here. We know it. So you should highlight why there's a problem and why it's different for you.
That's good advice, thanks.
And just one question, why do you put the team slide first?
It used to be in the end of the presentation.
Okay, and you switched it?
Yeah, but we've had a few conversations with the VCs locally, and a few of them told us, guys, you are at this stage when like you have no traction, so you should sell yourself as a team. So put it in the beginning of the presentation.
Okay.
I personally, to be honest, I feel more comfortable putting it towards like the end. But if it's more VCs tell us that this is the way they want to see us, okay, we'll start with the team slide. But you know, you never know.
Optional, I think.
Yeah, we'll be. I guess we'll be A/B testing this.
I think it might be, you can do something about it. I guess if the main point of pitching is telling a story,
Right.
so any starting point is good as long as you link it to the story.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you do it quite well. You're saying you know each other for a long time and stuff like this. I think you could maybe just link it up better to the problem, the solution maybe. Tell an anecdote about the thing. It sounds cliche, but I think it works because then you can go along and it doesn't seem like you've put the team and then go on to something else and on to something
Right.
else. No, there's a red thing going on.
Yeah. Okay. I'll think about it.
You know, I just had a quick question about what's coming next for you guys and how you're gonna launch your MVP and start actually get the ground running here in France.
Well, the main objective for us is obviously to build up supply on the platform. So we are targeting more effort towards finding car owners here locally, Paris and in France, to sign up on the platform. So what we want to do is, again, in the absence of any kind of marketing budget, because we've been bootstrapping so far, we haven't had any funds raised. So in the absence of money, we will try to go very cheap or for free. So we have an idea to promote our app via the Russian community on Facebook, because there's a group Russians in Paris, and it's like 25,000 people, and many people over there, based on our research, are looking for some extra income to find here. And for them, having if they have an asset, being a car, they can easily just put it on the platform and earn some cash. So that's our short-term strategy. But then when we're ready to scale, when we have some money to scale, obviously we're gonna do the social media campaigns targeted at the local markets, at the people who have cars, who want to earn extra income. So pretty straightforward. Yes.
Maybe just an idea. You mentioned the story about Kazakhstan.
Right.
Maybe I've been in Kyrgyzstan and had the same issues.
I've been there too as well.
So maybe you should use that to say, as you were saying, compelling stories, making the problem you're solving obvious.
Yeah. Well, we thought about having if we had more time, because this is like a shorter version of the pitch, 5-minute one. But in the bigger one, we can tell a more complex story about how in some CIS countries, it's the car rental market is virtually non-existent, and a solution like this could help people literally explore places that they've never seen before. So yeah, we're working on that as well.
And are you thinking about focusing on especially this market where there is no market, there's no big player at the moment, or not?
Well, no, as I've mentioned already, we focus on the market where the money is, which is France for now, but these markets, the CIS markets, right, where there is no competition, they could be a good launch pad for us just to gain some traction from people, just to get the story to the market, because it will be really cheap to launch on those markets. Yes, we will not get lots of revenue there, but obviously having a word out about the service like ours is much more important for us at this stage.
Okay, thank you.
And is this type of solution is more used by tourists?
Yes, we are targeting specifically tourists. We know that there's some segment of the market, like people, somebody traveling from Marseille to Paris, and the person needs a car to travel around Paris. But we believe that more people will be more receptive of this service if they're tourists, if they need a car for 2, 3 or more days, if they travel around the world. And again, it creates some networking effect, because they come back to their home country and they start researching maybe if there is a solution on their market. So yeah, at this stage we are specifically targeting travelers.
Okay, because I agree with you, because actually I was on holiday and Gravy wasn't there was no get around, and I needed to go to Avis,
Right.
and it was just a terrible experience, twice the price, and no customer services. And actually in those countries, if you're there, we will choose you.
Yeah, that's a good feedback. Maybe we'll think more careful, but
maybe you can just make a text in one country
Right.
in a small country, just to see where it's met.
Yeah, that would be probably cool. Yeah, thanks for your feedback.
Awesome, perfect.
Thank you.
Eric?
Yeah.
It's the one below.
The PDF because
Oh, you can't play the keynote?
has
Okay.
some formatting issues, I think.
Alright, no worries. Maybe we should, can I just reload the video as well? So I make it easy to switch. Where's the mouse? Right there, very tiny. Okay.
You also click on it on the PDF, it just appears, blows it up, because this was also, try clicking on it.
Okay.
That's what happens.
Oh, it's there, right? Oh, I can't play it.
If you go on the PDF, try go on the PDF.
Oh, that's the link from the.
Yeah, that one works.
All right. Okay, so I'll reload it. And it's somewhere around here. Hey everyone, I'm Eric. I'm co-founder and CEO at BiggerPen, an AI company that focuses on one thing: user experience on mobile. With 150 billion messages sent every day, messaging apps are the #1 usage of smartphones. 10% of those messages contain an intent, like going to the movies, meeting at a restaurant, buying something. And the problem is, whenever you want to make a search related to this intent, you need to switch between apps to copy paste an address in Uber, to search a restaurant on Yelp, or a product on Amazon. And at BiggerPen, we understood that this pain was the opportunity to improve the mobile user experience. So we built an AI that understands people's needs from their text conversations and shows relevant links right from your messaging app, so you don't have to leave the app and search. Let me show you a quick demo. Here we are. Oh no. Okay. So spacebar doesn't work either. When you receive a text message asking you to go watch a movie like Star Wars, it instantly offers you to watch the trailer or to buy tickets at a closest theater. Then if you receive another text message from a friend who owes you money, as that happens sometimes, you can instantly send a Venmo request without leaving the app. Finally, if you have a meeting at a restaurant, you can get an Uber to go there without searching or copy pasting the address. Okay. Our AI engine can be embedded inside any messaging app. It's already available, as a matter of fact, in our own SMS app, Magic Chat. And developers can easily add it to any messaging app using our SDK. We'll also very soon announce a group chatbot for Telegram, Slack, and other texting apps. And for B2B, we are targeting the mid-market segment, which consists in over 1,000 independent messaging apps, plus the 600 smartphone companies and 2,000 mobile carriers who will not want to miss out on this opportunity. Basically, we're turning conversations into revenue, into affiliate revenue. And the market is super large, $142 billion, based on a 5% average affiliate fee. We already signed agreements with Amazon, Uber, Best Buy, Rakuten, and Walmart. The first step in our B2B go-to-market strategy consists in offering our NLU, which stands for Natural Language Understanding, as a service for messaging apps who want to build their own recommender system or increase the click-through rate of their ads by making it relevant with user intent. And we did a case study about contextual advertising. And it turns out that the offering is very compelling because we can generate an additional 15 to 20% of ad revenue by making ads more relevant, like this example, while generating over 75K MRR for just one app with 10 million users. We worked on this with my co-founder Audrey, who's just there, with our team of AI, web, and mobile experts for the past 3 years. Because it's very complex, the technology took us a lot of time, and currently it's we're the only company, BiggerPen is the only company to provide this technology. We're backed by strategic investors from the mobile and AI space, including the head of deep learning at Apple, Nicolas Pinto, and VP North America at Lenovo, Pascal Bourguet. Some of you maybe know Ami Tanak and Sumi, who comes from Samsung. And today we're uniquely positioned with just one other company who recently announced doing something very similar, Google, for their own messaging app, Android Messages. So for us, it's sort of a blue ocean type of situation because we're the only independent player in that space. We recently met a couple weeks ago with the Android Messages and the Google Assistant team, and we're very excited because they asked for an API key. We're also in talks with Facebook and Samsung, who are equally interested in the technology. So today we're raising a 3.5 million round to build up our business development operations in the US and grow our affiliate platform. The goal is for us to sign our first contract within the next 6 months. Thank you.
I'm just wondering, your technology is so impressive and you just succeed to develop something that Facebook or Google didn't succeed to do, to make. Maybe you can just more emphasize, even if it's just 5 minutes pitch, because we already met, so...
Sure.
But actually maybe you can just develop a little bit more about what you built.
What is unique about our tech?
Yeah,
right.
what is unique.
Sure.
And why Google or Facebook didn't succeed to do that, and why you
Sure.
did?
It's a good question, of course. It's here. So, complex technical challenges. So the first thing is that I think it's this bullet point actually that really matters. Short messages are very ambiguous. The name of a movie can be the name of a person, can be the name of a restaurant, can be the name of a street, and so on. And so it's really hard to disambiguate language in short sentences. So what we built is a model that's capable, so it's called Joint Intent Entity Recognition. So we do both the intent, which is watch a movie, for example, and the entity, which is Star Wars, it's a movie name, right? And we disambiguate the entities based on the intent and mutually. So we do that pretty efficiently, pretty fast, and our model is also very different from what you can find in the state of the art, which is usually they're domain focused, and our model is multi-domain. So we do a lot of different domains, including the use cases I just mentioned, and it's like, I think 52 combined events. So that's really one thing that allows us to stand out. The other thing is our model of data generation. So we are capable of creating 60 million sentences to train our AI. And those sentences are all labeled with an intent and with the entities. And so that stems from a 10,000 manually tagged original data set. We sort of extract the DNA of the sentences and we build up a much larger data set that we can use for training our models. Companies like Google, like Facebook, are very advanced in terms of academic AI, and so they build something that most researchers use, in particular in the language area. There's recently models based on, I don't know if you've heard of transformers. BERT, for example, is one of them. Models that are really performing well in terms of language, like from a general standpoint, but pretty hard to use in production. That's one thing, and not very fast. And so we built something that's really fast. On a single machine, we can run 1,000 inferences per second.
Okay. Just one thing. Do you know the company Bodyguard?
No.
They want just to eradicate the cyber harassment on social medias, and it's quite the same story as yours. Because actually, the founder of Bodyguard just labeled 3 million comments by himself by hand for 2 years just to build this technology. Whereas Facebook is trying to do that for maybe 5 years, and they are just an army of data scientists, and they didn't take the problem in that way.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be interesting that you just have a talk with this guy.
Sure, pleasure.
Okay.
Of course.
I can use it.
So you tried to build your own messaging app, right?
Oh, we did actually. It's called Magic Chat. I don't know if you have an iPhone.
Yeah, I
iPhone,
do.
right? Okay, so on Android, there's a messaging app, a texting app, SMS. So on the iPhone, you cannot use another texting app, another SMS app than iMessage, right? So we built one for Android that can replace the stock app, and it has this experience built in.
Okay. And I guess you've decided to do this because you don't really want to build something in someone else's ground, right? It has limitations to build something on top of Messenger, on top of WhatsApp, on top of...
Yeah, I see your point. Actually, we started with this app because it's sort of our showcase, and we needed to be able to build this app if we wanted to be able to sort of carve out the AI from it and put it into other apps. But our goal is still to work with other apps. We haven't invested in user acquisition so far, so we're not we don't consider to date this our core product. It could be something along the way, but our main strategy is the B2B mid-market. Although, something very new, an investor recently asked us, suggested an idea actually that was very interesting. So we're currently working on this, a group chatbot for Telegram that you can just put into any group conversation with your friends, and it'll just pop up some relevant things whenever you express an intent. You say, let's go watch Star Wars. It will show you a link and say, hey, movie time, and then you'll be able to watch the trailer, buy tickets, and so on. Cool. But you control the experience. You can put it into your group chats if you want.
Cool. Okay. And maybe one question that people always ask you, but what about privacy?
Sure. It's another one. And there it is. So we built this with privacy in mind. It's private by design. The connection. So the technology could, in theory, fit on a large computer. But right now on mobile is more complex. We don't have the processing power to be able to do that just on a phone. So it runs on our cloud. Inferences runs on our cloud. But it's end-to-end encrypted, anonymized, remove any sensitive information such as social security number, names, and so on. And we don't store any data because we don't need it. We're data independent. So we go beyond GDPR and any other regulation for privacy.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, the technology is super impressive, and I think the use case is very relevant for many people. But have you really analyzed how big of a problem is it to people just to switch to a different app and do stuff that you will not do inside the messaging? Is that really a big problem that will drive people to use your service?
I think it's so. If we take the, it depends. Obviously, it depends from. We did some user testing, and for us, it's a differentiator. But for messaging in general, it would be more ranked in the vitamin than aspirin sort of
Mhm.
kind of feature. But it's also because it's kind of unique and new, and people don't know it too well. But over time, by using it, you could think of it as something that really saves you time and makes it very convenient for you to interact with your friends and share information and stuff. So at some point, it could become something people really want. But what is interesting is that I presented the problem, if you remember well, from a consumer perspective, which is the pain, right? But what if I told you that you could also reverse? So the same way you presented a few problems, right? 3 problems. You could also reverse that and frame it for the messaging perspective, messaging apps perspective. The problem they have is that monetizing is hard. They do it with ads, but people hate ads. And so what if you provide a service instead of just boring plain ads? That would be saving people's time and removing churn, a lot of churn from their apps, while providing a very good source of revenue. So yeah, I think you can see it both ways. Sure.
Just a quick question. Do you have to do individual partnerships with everybody who's going to show up into the search query, or will you be able eventually to do this query directly, like online, and you'll have like different partners just coming out?
Yeah, we can already embed companies that we don't have partnerships with.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
We don't. It means we won't make revenue with them until the day where we have enough bargaining power to come back to them and say, "Hey, would you like to continue being on our platform?"
Just one specific question. If I message meet you at Pier 39, do I have only Uber or also Captain, Bird? Do you have an exclusivity with one of the leader or
So,
many other actors?
Very good question. It's exactly why we need funding. Actually, we want to build this platform. So right now we only have Uber, but we want to have deals with all the other players. And the goal eventually is to look at the apps you have on your phone.
Okay.
So we can target these ones in priority. And then the ones we have the best deals with will be the de facto provider will show whenever you don't have any of these apps, which is very unlikely for ride sharing.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm wondering when you go see those messaging partners, what is their reaction when you present them that product? Like, what are the top challenges that they actually come up to you with in terms of integrating that service to their service?
You're talking about messaging apps, right?
Yeah, if you go see like, you talked about Telegram, but if you go see other players, that's messaging.
Yeah. So the largest players haven't really shared their plans with us. They're more like looking, they show interest, but I mean it's on their roadmap for sure. Thing is, what?
Line. They told us that they wanted to do that.
Yeah, Line. We met them at IFA last year, I think, already. They were saying very interesting.
We're trying to do that.
Yeah.
So.
They are interested. It's on their roadmap for sure. They don't have the technology yet, so they're working on it. Maybe they'll acquire a company who can provide it. We don't know. But for the smaller players, what is interesting is that they are in this sort of disparate situation where, okay, revenue, where can I find it? Again, ads mean churn, so it's not a too good situation to be in right now. The fact that we have this very easy to go with value proposition at first is sort of a way to get the foot in the door, to work with them, to provide value by leveraging something that already exists, ads that they already have. And then once this is done, once we've proven the value, and I don't think you can resist having more revenue for free because the ROI is very, very positive. Once we get there with them, the next step is to offer our recommender system with the affiliate platform in line within their messaging experience. And so that will open the door to more revenue, and that, like, this is laying down the ground for the next step.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Arno Weiss. I am the co-founder of CEO of RampUp, and our mission is to help managers be better managers. Before diving in, I would like to tell you why we started this company. We all had a bad boss. I had one, probably had one. It's a very common issue. You know the saying, employees don't quit jobs, they quit bosses. Beyond this saying, there is a huge number. Bad management is the number one reason why people quit and are demotivated at work. It costs companies $360 billion every year just in the US. And this is why we created Axel, the first personal assistant for managers powered by AI. With Axel, being a great manager has never been so easy. So how does it work? In every managerial situation, Axel helps me apply management best practices. Let's say that Katie is joining my team in a month. Axel will ask me to define motivating goals for first month. More than a coach, Axel is also my personal assistant. He automates all the low-value tasks such as scheduling my meetings or fetching my notes from my last meeting. With Axel, I always stay on track. He reminds me of my managerial obligations such as this performance review that I always forget. He keeps in touch with my team to make sure that everyone is motivated and on track to identify and solve issues before they become critical. And the best part is, no need to add yet another tool. Axel plugs directly onto the messaging platform of my company, Slack, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangout Chat. We all benefit from Axel. As a manager, I step up my game and spend more time on what really matters, my team. My employees are more motivated and engaged at work, driving the performance of my company up. We created the company in June 2018. In a year, we achieved 3 things. First, we released the first version of Axel, focused on one key managerial act, onboarding a new hire in my team. Second, we went to every single cocktail startup in Paris during summer 2018 to pitch our company, and we mastered a community of more than 100 startup early adopters with big names such as Algolia, Welcome to the Jungle, or Driving. It allowed us to join the Techstars program in September 2018, where we operated a pivot and we started focusing on large companies. Thanks to that, we signed our first client, so Air Liquide, Jeffco, Française des Jeux, raising our revenue beyond 100K in less than a year. And now we are negotiating, after the success of these early contracts, we are negotiating long-term contracts, 6-figure contracts with Air Liquide and Jeffco, and we are signing new customers. So we just signed Renault, Exterior Media, Société Générale, and we are closing L'Oréal and Veolia. We are a team of makers who experienced acutely this issue of management from both sides, as employees and as managers, and we are dedicated to solving that and to create the work of tomorrow, enhanced by AI with more space for human connections. So we are raising a seed round to conquer the European markets and to build the next bricks of our solution. So if you want to shape the new working paradigm with us, come and join us. Thank you.
Just one question, because I'm just confused about one thing. Are you focusing on the onboarding phase, or throughout all the life, or the relationship between the manager and his employees?
So the vision is to build this full-fledged tool for managers,
Okay.
but as we were a small team, we needed to focus on one thing.
Okay.
So we divided the product in several managerial acts, and we are doing them one by one.
Okay.
We started with the onboarding because it was one of the 3 key priorities for HR in 2019, and it's already a business problem. So there are bids for that, and we can apply and get a deal. So it's much easier. But we are planning to, with the money we want to raise, we want to build the next product.
Okay.
Actually, we already have one in beta test at the moment, and we are training them in the context of onboarding. For example, the next one is giving employees goals and doing performance reviews.
Yeah.
We are training that in the context of onboarding, seeing what's working or not. And then once we have enough data and feedback, we will release a full version, allowing us to increase the revenue per employee we charge to customers.
Actually, the vision is really interesting, and at the first sight, we cannot imagine that maybe you can just add a slide with your roadmap. So you are beginning with the onboarding. After that, you want to just add the performance review, and we can just have a look that you will be actually the assistant and the manager, and just under all these tasks.
Yeah, on all these managerial acts.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think that I can add it right here. Thank you.
First, congrats, because your slides are really amazing.
Thank you.
I would like to understand what's the tech behind this. So, is it rule-based and you do all the things by hand, or is it machine learning, and how do you plug into the systems to personalize it to each manager and stuff like this? So how does the backend work?
So our goal is to be a product company. So it's one single product that we are parametering, basically. But at the moment, we are still building the product with every new client. So when they ask something, instead of customizing the version, we are taking more time to build a feature that other customers can use as well. So it's a bit the challenge for every enterprise B2B company, is to manage to make one single product. It's our number one challenge at the moment. And the way the tech is built, basically we are a third-party app plugging on the collaborative platforms. And my vision of that is that the enterprise software market is going to completely shift towards these platforms. I think it's the next app store, and these companies are aware of it. For example, Microsoft is giving Microsoft Teams to companies basically for free, because they know that they will let developers like us publish apps on their store, and they will take a cut of 20-30%. So I think it's going to happen, and we are one of the first companies building something like that and being plugged into the collaborative platforms of big companies, of CAC 40 companies today.
Okay, interesting.
But everything is built in Python, and it's agnostic to the platform.
Can you send the same tool between a startups and a company from the CAC 40?
No, not that. You can't. And at first we focused on the startup because it was an easy way to go. And they said we go to cocktails, we pitch the startup. Hey, can you use it, please? Can you be one of our testers? And so it was easy, but we realized quickly that the market of startups in France is very small. In Europe, a bit bigger, but it's very small. And the pain is smaller because in a small team, especially in a startup, people are young, they talk to each other. So the pain is smaller, there is less money, so we shifted to large companies. We keep working with a couple big startups, such as Adgolia, because we are testing the new modules with them, the new bricks. So that's the idea. But we are now 100% focused on big companies.
And what is the average sales cycle to close a deal with such big companies?
Long.
Yeah.
Very long, and it takes on average like 3-4 months, I guess. And we signed first POC contracts for 3-4 months for an average of 20K.
Yeah.
And then we have to negotiate contract cadre, long-term contracts to deploy it on the whole company. That's what we are in at the moment with our 2 first customers, Air Liquide and Jeffco, and it's really challenging.
Okay.
And with my co-founder Karin, we have some experience in. We were doing consulting before, so we know how to deal with it. But still, it's a big challenge for us.
Yeah, quite complicated in these companies.
Technical questions.
Yeah.
On-premise or SaaS?
Today, so far, we refused on-premise because we are too small of a team to do it. We said, okay, later on we will see. So we had to say no to companies such as Total because of that. But now with the fundraising, we plan to do on-premise as well.
So when an employee receives a text message from Axel, does he see that it's an Axel or it's the boss who's sending the message? So does it show?
We say, hey, it's Axel on behalf of your manager.
Oh, okay.
He would like to know how things are going during your onboarding on the first month. Please rate it on a scale to 1 to 5. We'll share it to him. So that's what we are trying to do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Did you raise money before?
When joining Techstars, we raised. When you join Techstars, you automatically have with Partech and Techstars $120,000. So
Okay.
that's what we raised, and then we quickly had the first contracts, making money. So far we are bootstrapping, but we are now raising seed round to accelerate. I think we reached basically our product market fit.
Mhm.
We can sell easily, and the first clients are happy and want to sign long-term contracts. But now we need money to enlarge the team, because it takes time to get paid with big companies. So
And how much equity did they take for this?
6% plus a convertible note capped
Okay.
to 3%.
Okay.
So if we do our fundraising right, they will get 9% in the end for the whole thing.
Okay.
What is the competition landscape?
Basically, there is no major actor.
Yeah.
Our competitors are startups a bit more advanced, for some of them on the US market. You might have heard about Donut. You know, they do the pairing thing. They released an onboarding module which is quite similar to ours, and they are working on a new product. I assume that it's as well what we are working on, and we have quite similar visions.
Okay.
It's the main competitor, I would say, and you have also Butterfly.ai, coaching managers, and Plateau.hq, French company now in the US, doing coaching for technical managers through a chatbot and with human coaches as well.
Okay.
But the thing is, there is no big company, there is no major actor at the moment. So if we play our cards right, we should be able to be one of them.
Actually, I think that there is some players in each vertical. So you have some players on the onboarding phase. You have some competitors on the review, annual review and performance. And maybe we can just ask you why